Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Happy day to you wherever you are. I hope that you are doing great and good evening from Dubai. So, today's post was inspired by a conversation I had recently with a friend who was experiencing this. She had gone through this very recently, and I've also gone through this, and I wanted to share it with you because I'm sure we're not the only two people on planet Earth that have faced and felt uncontrollable eating, and some people would go a step further. They have binging eating issues and just like overeating or stuffing yourself, but basically without getting into very deep and psychological aspects of eating disorders and getting heavy. These are my personal insights on when I've experienced this overwhelming sense of uncontrollable eating, like you can't stop, and you know that it's soon or now time to stop, that you ideally don't want to have this in the quantity you're having it, but yet you still keep going until your belly is full, and even uncomfortably so. And I guess I'm being very open and vulnerable with this post in the hopes that it will encourage anyone out there that is experiencing this or who has, and what I've learned from it and from others who have gone through the same thing, and what we can take away from it so that we can grow and so that it can benefit us and become a better version of ourselves and live a happier life. So what I learned from the past experience was I think it's important to ask yourself when you're in that moment, is to check in with see if you can engage your mind and break away from your animalistic behavior of just filling your face, and ask yourself, if it's over and done with, was I hungry? Because what I've experienced and learned is that when I've been hungry in the past, when I have not eaten well earlier in the day, and I basically didn't have sufficient food prior to that moment, I probably was not having enough nutrition, undercaloried prior to that moment. And so when you reach that point where you are faced with that, either you're eating something that you think is a treat or something like off your plan, or it could be perfectly healthy food, but somehow you're overeating the broccoli and the mangoes or bananas, whatever it is, whatever is your case, ask yourself if you've been hungry throughout the day, because some people do that. They starve themselves for most of the day, and then they reach home at night, and then they just know that now I can eat. But at that point, your body has been so depleted and deprived that then it's going into overload mode, and it's overcompensating for all the lack of nutrition and nutrients, nutrient-dense foods that you did not consume earlier in the day. So it thinks that, oh my God, we've been starving all day, we have not had enough, and now we need to maximize this opportunity and make sure that we can get fed while we have it available, because who knows when the next famine will arrive. So if you can put yourself within the context of how your body is functioning physiologically and just the biological mechanics of what we need, we need to fuel our cells, we need to give them the glucose, the ample energy, the adequate fats in a proper proportions and quantities, and thinking about the quality of the foods that you're eating, nutrient-dense foods, making sure that you're having high quality whole foods like vegetables and fruits. And if you're having grains, making sure they're fiber rich and in their whole form, not super processed, not fried, not in chips forms, because those foods, I'm sorry to say, and I have to accept it, their true nutrients have been totally extracted. So when you get a potato chip in a bag, just think about it. It's been in a factory, it's been fried, it's been processed with even other chemicals like stabilizers, emulsifiers, flavorings, salt, sugar added. It's not even natural sugar, and it's probably not organic unless you really only buy organic products. And even then, it's really hard to really make sure that every single individual ingredient in that package has been organic. And then it's been, like, as I said, it's been fried, it's been processed, it's passed through a factory and a processing plant, and then it probably has an expiration date, which might be within a year or 2 years. So imagine how much shelf life that particular food has. So it's not even a real living food. So basically the point is that the nutrients have been extracted from it. And oftentimes when we overeat, it's because our body is lacking and wanting something that it's missing in the nutrients. It could be calcium, it could be beta carotene, it could be the B vitamins, it could be iron, magnesium, phosphorus, and it could be proteins. You know, when my diet has been too low on proteins, I felt that. And you see that in your muscles. And so the point is that when our body feels starved of true nutrients, not so like when you've only been feeding it like Kellogg's Nutri-Grain bars or Nescafe ready-made like coffee packs, and you know, like even rice cakes, you know, they're not exactly the original rice or the original quinoa or buckwheat, right? So even those, you know, it's not the same as the whole food. So make sure you're getting key nutrients and real nutrients, whole foods, real foods. Make sure that you're not starving yourself throughout the day, because when you do, then your body will be in that depleted form and it will eventually need to overcompensate to make up for that lack. The other thing that I've learned is it helps to eat throughout the day, so like maybe 2 or 3 times, so that you have a constant flow of energy. It doesn't have to be like all day, but just within your window of eating. So if you do intermittent fasting, just making sure that you keep it within that window, and then having your real foods, your real nutrients, your nutrient-dense foods. Something else that I've noticed is, I guess if I have, another thing is like when I used to drink black coffee, like caffeinated coffee in the morning, and if like it's been before breakfast or before a solid food, I would notice that I would tend to overeat later on in the day. And I think it's because of the blood glucose, blood sugar metabolism and control in your body. Because when you have the coffee, you might spike your blood sugar, but then eventually that spike has to go down, right? Like everything that goes up eventually comes down. And that's the case with the coffee and the way that it spikes your blood sugar. Even if you're having artificial sweeteners, and even especially if you're having artificial sweeteners like stevia and aspartame and sucralose and acesulfame potassium. Why? Because they're fake sugars, so they have 0 calories technically, but your brain doesn't know how to process and register that, because it detects that there's something sweet coming into your body, but it doesn't have a caloric value, and it's not a natural component from nature that is harmonious with the chemistry of our body. Hence, there's this discord and disconnect, and it causes that spike in blood sugar. And there have been scientific studies made about this, which you can find online on YouTube, nutritionfacts.org, studies that have been performed that have proven these results. So that's another thing, is to ask yourself if you're having like these high sugary drinks before eating anything, like these sweet cardamom like pre-made coffees or mocha frappuccinos or whatever it is, like even those venti matcha lattes, what have you, they're super, super heavy with sugars, like artificial sugars, right? Like GMO sugars. So that's bound to wreak havoc on our blood glucose levels and control, and hence it'll send you into this starvation mode. So also I would encourage, I've learned that it really helps to pair your meals with vegetables, having an abundance of vegetables, and just endeavoring to keep them as free from a lot of oil. Doesn't have to be 0 oil, but just like being mindful of how much fat is going into these foods, and whether, you know, like how it's registering with your liver. So that's something that I've taken away that helped me, is just to mitigate like having a highly rich food, like calorically dense food, and pairing it with a vegetable. So that way you get the fiber, you're chewing, you're forced to chew, and it takes you longer to eat because it's a chewy, like cruciferous vegetable, crunchy vegetable. It could be celery, broccoli, cauliflower. It could be arugula, which is rocket. It could be lettuce, bok choy, having cucumbers and tomatoes and onions and garlic, and so many options, so much you can choose from that you can pair. Asparagus, Brussels sprouts, there are tons of vegetables, mushrooms. So combining fiber-rich vegetables with those highly caloric foods. One final tip that I would share just right now is don't keep those really processed and burdensome foods in the house. Because as one of my favorite YouTube inspirers has said in the past, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And it's only a matter of time before you eat it. So if there's a certain food that you know is a trigger for you, that you know you don't want to consume, it's not quote unquote the healthy alternative that you would ideally in your best self have, my suggestion and my learning from my past experience is to remove it from your house. Don't keep it around, don't see it, don't look at it. If you live with family and they have it, keep it in a separate compartment and tell them, if you guys want it, you go search for it. Now, if you have babies, ask yourself, what kind of food are they eating that you feel this uncontrollable sense of wherewithal where you can't even control yourself? Is it something that you're feeding your babies or your kids, right? That's something to interrogate within yourself, because if it's causing this within you, it begs the question of whether it's suitable for your kids. But that's up to you. That's up for you. There's no judgment. It's just for you to consider. And that's pretty much it, is some of the things that I've learned. And finally, try to walk away from the moment without feeling like guilty or scared or fearful, or at least if you do, mitigating that by just breathing through it, letting it go as a past moment, moving forward. If you need to go for a walk because you're too full, if you can do that, then do that. Just do what you can to relax, okay? Don't take it the next day and go in hyper mode of like, oh my God, I need to make up for whatever I've done. Take it easy. Look back on your moment and see, what can I learn from this? What will I do different next time? What would I like to do differently next time? What is my learning from my body? So ask your own body, what it needs, what's going on, and seek to not compare yourself to many others or anyone else, because this is your life, so you have your own unique set of stressors. Maybe when you're super stressed, I know when I've been very stressed at work and I have a busy day, I really come home and I feel the need to decompress, and I've often used food, to be totally straightforward and transparent with you. So I'm only human, and I know that you're human, and so we all have our lives that we are learning to evolve with. So check in and see how these experiences, if they're a big deal for you, ask yourself, how is this part of my journey, and how can I evolve with this and beyond this to really move ahead and see what's next on the other side of this fear, of this need and compulsion. And there's so much more to unpack there. So that is the treasure within you. So that's it for now. I hope that you are doing great and having a great day. And I hope this really helps so many people out there. And if you wish to share, please share it. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye for now, and lots of love from Jennifer at Personal Power Life Coaching. Thank you for tuning in. Bye for now.